Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new to Mommy Trader, welcome to the channel. On this channel, I am documenting me and my family of five's journey to financial independence and generational wealth, and we're going to get there on the train of investing, stock market, real estate, cryptocurrency, and just overall increasing our net worth while remaining debt-free. And we hope that we can encourage and inspire you to get started on your own personal wealth building journey. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for coming back. I really do appreciate you guys being here. So on today's video, I have a really good one. Feel free to get a piece of paper, a pen or a pencil, or just save this video in your favorites so that you can come back and refer to it if need be. But I want to talk about an HSA. An HSA is a health savings account, and I wanted to talk about why I believe this is the secret weapon to building wealth. Now, you probably have heard many people in the FIRE community go on and on about the great benefits of an HSA, and a lot of people, believe it or not, don't really know about an HSA, and they have access to one. And I wanted to keep this very simple and just talk to you guys about why an HSA is so important. And stay tuned, because towards the end of this video, I'm going to switch computers and take you inside of our actual HSA account, showing you real numbers, show what we have money invested in, so that you guys can see that this really does work. And this is really a great way to start building generational wealth. So let's get into the video. Now, we're going to talk about what is an HSA, because it's really important to have a basic understanding of what it is you're investing in. You know, guys, I'm always talking about that. Having some type of understanding. You don't have to know all the nitty-gritty details, but you should have some basic knowledge of what it is. So a health savings account is basically an account that's offered usually through your employer if your health plan is a high deductible health plan. So if you got to pay a whole lot of money for your deductibles, and most of the time co-insurances and all of that, you have access to a health savings account. Now, you use your health savings account to save money for medical related expenses. And the great thing is that this account is usually offered through your employer, especially if you do have a high deductible health plan. So go to your HR person, go to your administrator, and ask them and inquire about, do you have access to one? Because 9 times out of 10, you do. And the great thing about it is that going through your employer, they can easily set you up with one. All you have to do is go online to the website and register and create an account, and all of it is there for you, which is so easy, especially if you are a beginner in all of this. And another great thing is that you can invest money inside of this health savings account with pre-tax dollars. And let me tell you why that is so important. Because when the government get their little grabby hands on your money, they are taking your taxable, they are going off your taxable income. So remember, because this money is invested pre-tax, it actually lowers what the government can start taxing you on. So let's just say you make $2,000 a month and you put $500 into your HSA. Normally, if you didn't put anything in your HSA, the government would just tax you on the whole $2,000. But because you put $500 in your HSA and it's pre-tax, that means you have $1,500 left that the government is going to start taxing you on. And the perfect thing is, before the government start with their little stuff, you are already putting money aside for your future before the government come with all of their taxes. So that's one of the great benefits, not just for an HSA, but any other retirement account that you have access to. It could be a 401k, a 403b, anything that you have access to, which is why I said go talk to your employer, talk to your HR person, and ask them and inquire, what do you have access to that you can put money in pre-tax? And remember, guys, it could be $25, $10, $50. It's whatever you tell your employer. Remember, there's no standard amount. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And then the number 4 here is that your HSA contributions don't expire. Now, you guys probably have heard of an FSA. An FSA is a federal savings account. The difference between an HSA and an FSA is that the money that you put in an FSA by the end of the year, by December 31st of whatever year you put money in, if you don't use all that money up, that money is gone. And nobody has no time wasting their hard-earned money, especially in this pandemic. And so one of the great things about an HSA is that your money does not expire. It will roll over to the next year. And if you don't use up all that money, it'll roll over to the next year. It will keep going and going and going, like the Energizer Bunny. Y'all remember that? Well, that's what your HSA contributions do. They do not expire, which is, in my opinion, one of the best things about an HSA. Now, let's go on to the 3 tax, because to me, this is like the main reason why you should invest in an HSA. So the first thing is, I just talked about this, is pre-tax contribution. And the great thing is you can go through payroll, so you don't even have to worry about finding the time to do this. You go to your payroll person and they will do it for you every month. And honestly, you won't even really miss the money, because we don't miss the money. And like I said, it lowers your taxable income. So before the government get their hands on it, you already started saving for your future, which is really a plus. The second thing is that this money all grows tax-free. The interest that you earn and all of that jazz is not taxed, which is another plus. And then the third thing is, when you take that money out, there is no tax on those withdrawals, provided, of course, that you use that money on health purchases, which is key. But I'm gonna tell you one way you can get around that and save and invest this money for financial freedom. So let's move on. Now, I'm going to talk about our plan. Oops, went ahead too fast. I want to talk about what our plan is, because again, everybody uses their HSA differently, but because we plan on achieving financial independence and we want to kind of retire early and do our own thing and spend time doing what we love and volunteer and so on, that, we want to specifically use our HSA to invest and to build wealth, and basically to save now and cash in later. And this is where the reimbursement factor comes in at. So let's talk a little bit more about that. So step 1, and this is our steps to this our HSA. So keep that in mind, guys. A lot of people use theirs differently, but this is what we're going to do to help us achieve financial freedom. So the first thing that we are going to is we're going to max out our HSA. So there are limits to what you can put in an HSA. You can't just put a whole bunch of money in. There are limits. Now, usually you have an individual or single HSA, and then you have a family plan. We have a family plan because, like I mentioned, we are a family of 5. So the great thing is that we can add up to $7,200 this year. Now, it does change year to year, but for this year, 2021, we can add $7,200 or $600 a month, because that's what it is if you break it down into months. And so I know some employers will allow you to just put the whole $7,200 in 1 or 2 swoops, but we're not going to do that, and our employer does not allow that. So we just do $600 a month. So we're going to max it out. That's step 1. Step 2 is we're going to invest those funds. It's really important not just to let that money sit there, but we're going to invest it. The third thing is that we're going to avoid reimbursements if possible and save our receipts. So if I go and pick up a prescription and the prescription is $30, I am not going to take money out of our HSA to do that. I'm going to leave that money invested and just pay that $30 out of my pocket and save my receipt. And the great thing is in step 4, let's say 10 years down the road when we are reached 5, I can go back and get that $30 and reimburse myself out of the HSA because I have my receipt. And the great thing is that there is no limit to how far in the future you can reimburse yourself. So if I owe myself $30 in February of 2021, I can wait until 2030 and say, you know what, I want to reimburse myself my $30. Now that $30 originally, because it's been sitting there since 2021, have been growing and growing and growing, and I've been making money on that. But to get my original $30 back, I can take it back in 2030 and use it on whatever I want because I'm paying myself back. That is what a lot of people who are reaching for financial freedom are using their HSAs for. And so again, guys, remember, you want to invest that money and just let it grow, let it grow, let it grow. Save your receipts if you have medical expenses, and then way down the line when you are relaxing on the beach or hanging out with your grandbabies, you can say, you know what, I'm ready to reimburse myself. And there are people who reimburse themselves thousands of dollars back out of their HSA, which grew to like $100 grand. And because they've been saving up their receipts, they owe themselves like $10,000, $20,000. And guess what? They can reimburse themselves back and use that money on whatever they want. And that is why so many people in the financial retire early or the FIRE movement love HSAs. And so that's what our plan is for our particular HSA. Now, let's talk about some other things about the HSA. Now, our particular HSA, which is why it's very important to talk to your employer, go to your administrator, HR person, and ask them about the details. Now, we are required to keep $1,000 in cash in our HSA at all times. Some companies will require you to keep $500. Others will require you to keep $1,500. It really all depends on your employer and the detail in the fund or the account. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. The second thing is we want to have a goal of $20,000 in our HSA by the end of 2021. And we plan on getting there through the current imbalance that was in our HSA at the start of this year, any contributions that we make to that HSA, and any gains. And you guys will see a little bit more of this when I switch screens and take you inside of the account. And last but certainly not least, is we are investing our funds semi-monthly. So we get paid twice a month. So every time we get paid and the employer put that $600 into that account, we go inside of that account and take that money from the savings part and invest it. Because remember, your employer just going to dump it in the HSA account and it's going to stay there as like a savings. But because you can invest that money, we have to manually transfer that $600 into a fund. And that's really, really key, guys, because some people will contribute to an HSA, but they're not investing it. Remember, when you put that money in this account, it's just sitting there and accumulating like a savings account. But you can use it as an investing account by transferring that money to a fund, and you guys will see more of that. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and switch screens and take you inside of our HSA. Let's go. All right, guys, we are here on our HSA account. Now, our HSA is through Discovery Benefits. And there's a whole lot of companies that your HSA can be through, and your employer will be able to give you that information. So let's scroll down, and you can see that currently we have $8,328 invested in our HSA, and we started putting money into this sometime middle last year-ish. And as you can see, in our cash portion, we have $1,029. Like I mentioned, with the employer, it's required to have $1,000 at all times in this account. Now, we will transfer this $29 later in the week when we get paycheck number 2. We'd rather just do it in one transaction than small transactions. And since today is February 9th, which is a Tuesday, and we get paid on Friday, this coming Friday, we might as well just wait and we can just transfer $629 over into the investment part. And this is why I brought this up, because your HSA deposits will go right into your cash account. They won't go into your investment account unless you physically transfer it there. And that's what I was talking about in the earlier part of this video. So let's click on our investment account. Now, you guys can see that we currently have a balance of $7,299.03 in this account, and the rate of return so far have been 17.45%. And we just click on that to look at the chart, and so you guys can see that it's been steadily going up, which is always a plus. Now let's go back to account, and I want to go to fund activity, because that's going to really tell us more about the specific fund. So we have our money in the American funds. Let me just scroll down some. Now, we did take a withdrawal from here because we had a big health issue that came up, which is always great. Now, remember, I mentioned in my earlier part of this video that if you have a surgery or anything that else come up, a savings plan is great because you can invest that money while you're waiting to have to pay that big bill. But until then, you can just let that money grow. But in the meantime, let's just talk about that we have this money in an American Growth Fund, and this is an equity. And as you can see, we have $7,298.97 in this particular fund, and I want to pull up this fund. Now, just real quick, you see down here this HCB interest bearing account. So basically, any cash you keep in the cash portion of your HSA account does get interest paid out, but it's very small. So that $1,029 we have in the cash part is only getting 6 cents in interest each month. That is like, that's nothing really. And so that's why it's so important to invest your money. But let's see if I can get to let's go to investments. And that way you guys can see how I'm playing around with the account, and I suggest that you do the same. Just, get used to the account. Now, I want to show you how to transfer money. So anytime you want to transfer money, you go to manage investments. Let's wait for the internet to come up. I have 3 kids on virtual school and a husband who's working, so it takes some time. Okay, here we go. So you can do a one-time transfer to your investment account. You can do a one-time transfer from your investment account. What you guys saw, we had a big medical emergency that came up and we used some money out of this account. Or you can set it up to auto, and it would automatically transfer money from the cash portion of your account to the investment portion, but you have to tell it how much and all of that. And you can also change the fund allocation. So let's say you want to put it in 2 funds. You can do that here. Any changes you want to request, you can do that here. And if you want to open up a brokerage account, because you can open up a brokerage account and attach to this, but honestly, we like the way the fund is being managed where our money is invested. So we feel like we don't need an extra brokerage account. We already have a ton of them, and we feel like the money is doing fine just through this particular and so when we do our transfers twice a month, because that's what we do, we get paid twice a month, what we do is do the one-time transfer to our investment account. So I would click transfer right there, and then it would say you want to make a transaction. Sorry guys, I had to keep pausing this video because I have a sore throat, so please bear with me. But as you can see, we have our balance in our cash account, but we're not making any transfers yet. I just wanted you to see. If you have any pending transfers, it'll show up here, or any pending cash coming into the account, it'll show up here, but we don't. And if we want to make a transaction, basically what we do is we transfer from our HSA cash or your basic HSA to your HSA investment account. You would click next, and it'll say what type of transfer you want to do. We'll say based on the specific fund we have, and it's just one fund. We would click next, and this is where it asks us, well, how much you want to invest. Now I'm going to show you why that we can't invest more than, we have to leave $1,000 in our cash portion. So let's say I put, you see this whole $1,029, let's just put that there, and you guys will see that the employer says we can't do it. And that's why I say talk to your employer. See, your employer requires a minimum amount of $1,000 in your cash account. So that's why I said talk to your employer and see what the details are with your HSA. But this is how we would transfer the money every month. So let me cancel this because we can't do anything with this right now because we have to keep $1,000 in there. And as you can see, we are 42% towards our goal of getting $20,000 by the end of this year. I think we may reach 20,000 probably around October-ish, maybe late September, but I'll do an update and you guys can see that. So now I want to show you guys how to actually, oh my goodness. Guys, I'm so sorry. That's the mama life. The TV was on in the background. So yes, so I want to show you guys how to invest this money. So let's say you put the money in your HSA, it's sitting in your cash portion, and you want to put it in an investment account. Where do you start? Now keep in mind, guys, I'm with Discovery Benefits, but any platform that you're on that your HSA is based or housed with should have the same type of interface. Basically, what you want to do is go to let me see. Yes, make an HSA transaction. We're going to click there and it's going to tell us, okay, we want to make an HSA transaction. What type of transaction we want to make. So we want to, hold on guys, excuse me. Here we go. Let's go to manage investments. This is better because this is where you can get, if you want to transfer one time or transfer a little bit, this is where you would go. So always go to manage your investments. I'm sorry guys. The next thing you want to do is, now I'm going to do for this specific video a one-time transfer. So we're going to transfer from our HSA cash. It'll just say your HSA, but that's your cash account, to your HSA investment account. So we're going to click because that's what we want to do. Now, transfer type. We're going to go into specific funds because if I go this way, it's going to go into the fund we had already picked. And I want to show you guys how to get access to a variety of funds. So I'm going to click specific funds, click next, and these are the funds that our HSA has access to. So like I mentioned, the HCB interest bearing, that's basically any interest you get on cash that's sitting in your cash portion of your account. But these are just some of the other funds that we have access to that we can put our HSA money in. And see, we have Vanguard here, JP Morgan funds. There's actually several Vanguard funds here. So if you're a big fan of Vanguard, you can put your HSA money in here and let it invest. You have Fidelity as well if you're a big fan of them. Look up, these are tons and tons of Vanguard funds, and just a variety. So you can go through and you can pick what you like. And let me show you guys something really, really cool. So this is the fund we have our money in. And the ticker symbol is RGAGX, and that's the American Growth Fund of America. And so we're going to click on that. And if you want to see more detail about a specific fund, they always have the fund fact sheet, which you can click on, which I will click on. And this is basically what will come up in the PDF. And you can have basically a summary, a snapshot of the particular fund that you want to put your HSA in. And so again, my husband and I are really focused on tech, and we feel like, you know, this is not all our portfolio, but tech is the future. That's what we believe. And so as you can see, the largest holdings in this particular fund is Tesla, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Capital Group, Central Cash, Alphabet, which is Google, United Health Group, MasterCard, and Broadcom. And so again, guys, you can put your HSA to work for you and let it work in the market for you, which is always a great thing. As you can see, this is a growth large cap stocks. You can see how the asset allocation is broken down. You can see the characteristics of this particular fund, which is always great. You can see who the manager is, how long the manager has been doing this, the turnover percentage rate, which is really good. 28% is pretty good. And just to see, you know, you can see all the info. You can see the fee summaries and the performances of the particular funds. And so again, guys, this will just give you a snapshot, a quick snapshot. As you can see, it's one page. I think this is pretty easy to understand. It's really kind of to the point. It tells you what your money is doing in this particular fund and where it's going. And that's why a lot of people really like, especially in the financial independence community, investing their HSA. So let's go back. So, and again, you can go to any fund. You see, I'm clicking any fund, and you can decide, okay, I want to put $100 here, $500 there. You know, you can allocate it any way you want, guys. Remember, personal finance is personal, and you just do what's best for your family. My husband and I spent a weekend just going over several fact sheets of different funds and just seeing which one we like the best and going there from there. And so I really love how this is laid out. I think it's very beginner friendly. I think that it gives you information that you need. It doesn't go in too much detail where, you know, it's not difficult. I mean, it's difficult for you to understand, and I really like it. And I'm just clicking on things to show you guys how it works. So if you guys have any questions or comment, leave them down below. I'll be more than happy to answer them. I hope this was really simple and easy to understand. I know this video was more on the longer side than what I usually do, but I really wanted to give the beginner investors out there a really good detailed snapshot, a very simplified version of what an HSA is, and to see it in an account that is working for us. And so again, guys, if you have any questions, leave them down below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.